My top 5 famous black men, actors, and athletes that committed suicide. Let's get it. Oh yeah, make sure you hit that like and sub button. Number 9, Jovan Belcher.
Tragedy in Kansas City. Chiefs linebacker Jovan Belcher fatally shooting his girlfriend and then taking his own life.
ABC News has learned Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Jovan Belcher not only owned guns, but he and his girlfriend Cassandra Perkins used them recreationally. Police say Saturday, Belcher turned one of those guns on Perkins, reportedly shooting her 9 times at the home the couple shared with their 3-month-old daughter. The child was spared. But police say the 25-year-old then drove to Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium, thanked his coaches for believing in him, and shot himself as they watched in horror. Belcher had no history of domestic violence, and while playing football at the University of Maine, he joined the Male Athletes Against Violence Initiative. Student athletes who signed up said they would educate themselves on issues surrounding domestic violence. Now, some are now questioning if Belcher had undiagnosed head injuries, but the team has denied those rumors.
Number 9, O.J. Murdoch.
Murdoch shot himself in the chest outside Middleton High. Our Eric Waxler joins us now live outside the school where those who knew him are dealing with a severe loss. Eric?
This really seems to have taken a lot of people by surprise. We were at the family home near here, and there was just so much grief. Murdoch signed with Tennessee last year, but an Achilles injury kept him off the field. He hadn't shown up for the first 3 days of training camp. The team said he was excused for personal reasons. Now today, Tampa police say his body was found inside his car, dead from an apparent suicide.
I was very hurt because of the very fact that it was something you didn't expect.
His former football coach at Middleton, Harry Hubbard, says he just saw Murdoch last fall.
At the time, we talked about his future, and he said that he was recovering from injury and that after it healed, he was going back and give it a shot again.
Back on signing day 2005, we saw Murdoch and his family celebrating as the highly regarded wide receiver chose to play for Steve Spurrier at South Carolina.
I will be attending the University of South Carolina.
His proud mother was gushing about her son's future.
You know, he was tossed between the Gators and South Carolina, but when Steve Spurrier came, that was like icing on the cake.
His time with the Gamecocks didn't last long. After a shoplifting arrest, he was kicked off the team. Eventually, he got his act together at Division II Fort Hays State in Kansas. His play there eventually got him to the NFL. On the field, Hubbard remembers Murdoch's unbelievable speed. But more than that, he says he will miss the 25-year-old's winning personality.
You know, every time he see me, give me that big smile and say, "Hey, coach," So he would always make you feel very warm inside.
Number 7, Lawrence Phillips.
It was just after midnight when officials here at the prison found Lawrence Phillips unresponsive in his cell. An hour and a half later, he was declared dead at a nearby hospital. Just hours before he was found unresponsive in his jail cell, the former first-round draft pick was in court for a preliminary hearing, suspected of killing his former cellmate. 23 ABC was the only station in court, our cameras rolling as Phillips reacted time and time again to evidence presented against him. At some points, he seemed baffled by what witnesses were saying. The judge determined there was, in fact, enough evidence to move forward with the case. If convicted, Phillips would face the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. As court was adjourned, Phillips stood up to leave, calling a corrections officer who just moments ago was on the stand a liar. In a press release this morning, officials say the Kern Valley State Prison staff was conducting routine security checks around midnight last night. That's when they found the 40-year-old unresponsive in his cell. Phillips was transported to the Delano Regional Medical Center and was pronounced dead around 1:30 this morning. Prison officials say they are investigating the death as a suspected suicide. Phillips has been at the Delano prison since October of 2008, serving a 31-year sentence for assault against his former girlfriend, among other charges. Phillips' lawyer, Jesse Whitman, says because of a gag order, he could not comment on the situation. Kern County's deputy district attorney on the case, Andy Bridges, says she also could not comment because of the gag order, but she did offer this statement. We extend our condolences to the Phillips family.
Number 6, Lee Thompson Young.
Los Angeles Police Department confirming actor Lee Thompson Young was found dead in Los Angeles just a couple of hours ago. The cause of death not clear at this time. He starred in Disney's The Famous Jet Jackson, currently has been starring in the TNT show called Rizzoli and Isles. And I just want to read part of a statement from TNT and Warner Brothers to us here. Everyone at Rizzoli and Isles is devastated by the news of the passing of Lee Thompson Young. We are beyond heartbroken at the loss of this sweet, gentle, good-hearted, intelligent man. He was truly a member of our family.
Number 5, James Hardy.
Hardy's body was pulled from the Maumee River, and tonight his mother is speaking about the days leading up to her son's disappearance.
Brett and Heather, the last time she saw her son, he was upset and he feared for his life. She says Hardy wouldn't say why, only that he needed to leave. Now her worst fear has become reality. Perhaps the only thing more puzzling than James Hardy's mysterious disappearance is his last words to his mom.
I got to get out of town. If I don't get out of town, I'm going to die tonight. He says, I got to go.
Jeannie Somerville says she didn't know what to think.
And I told him, I said, baby, you're scaring me. You know, and he says, I got to go. And then he left.
That was on May 25th, the last time she saw Hardy. A day later, May 26th, police found his car on Spy Run. At the time, they didn't find it suspicious because police didn't know he was missing. Somerville filed a missing persons report on May 30th. Then, on June 7th, Hardy's body was found floating in the Maumee River.
I hope that he was just talking, you know, that it really wasn't going to come true. But it did.
She says Hardy was still living in California and had only been in town for about 3 weeks before he went missing. Although concerned for Hardy's safety, she kept his disappearance quiet.
If it's all over the TV and then he may come and see me and he said, Mom, why did you do that? Here I am. You know, so I didn't want to take that chance.
Somerville says when she saw reports of a body in the river, she feared it might be him, but says she doesn't know why he would have been there.
I have no idea. But I know he does know how to swim.
Although Somerville is devastated by his death, she says she finds peace in knowing that he's with God.
He's in good hands. You know, at least now I know where my baby is. I know where he's at. He's not missing anymore.
Number 4, Melvin Turpin.
Former UK basketball star Melvin Turpin.
Well, Kevin, the coroner has just showed up here outside 337 Princess Arch. That is the home of Melvin Turpin, as you mentioned. Lexington police are not releasing many details about what's going on, just only that they have a personal injury investigation going on here at Melvin Turpin's home. He is a former UK basketball player and an all-star for the team. He played in the early 80s, was one of the team's lead scorers. He was drafted to the NBA in 1984 by the Washington Bullets and immediately traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played in the NBA for a few years on a few different teams, but his career did not last very long. He was well known for having some weight issues while he was playing in the NBA. Again, only saying that they have a personal injury investigation going on at the home of Melvin Turpin, but the coroner has showed up, which would indicate that it is some sort of death investigation. We don't know exactly who it involves, but we do know it is at former UK basketball player Melvin Turpin's home here in Masterson Station.
At number 3, we have Kalief Browder.
I lost my childhood. I lost my happiness. I don't really tell too much people about this, but it's like sometimes I talk to myself, and it's like it's actually embarrassing. Sometimes on the train or the bus, I have a whole conversation with myself for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's like, you're really crazy. Like, you really talk to yourself. But being in solitary confinement that long without talking to anybody, I feel like that maybe had something to do with it, because that's where those habits started to pick up. You know, deep down, I'm a mess, because it's like I'm 21, and in the inside I feel like I'm 40. I always believed in standing up for what I felt was right. And if I would have just been guilty, then my story would have never been heard. Nobody would have took the time to listen to me. I'd have been just another criminal.
At number 2, we have Kenny McKinley.
Wide
receiver Kenny McKinley was found dead in his home Monday in an apparent suicide and found McKinley's body in the second-floor master bedroom. Detectives believe the 23-year-old McKinley was killed by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The sheriff declined to say if authorities found a suicide note. McKinley played in 8 games as a rookie, but suffered a late-season knee injury. He recovered and took part in off-season workouts, but got hurt again during the first week of training camp and was placed on injured reserve. Fans at the Broncos team store were left to speculate why the second-year pro would end his life.
I'm sure he was probably depressed about something. I don't know what, whether it was his injuries or who knows what was going on and everything, but something that obviously was a bit too much, unfortunately, for him to handle.
The Broncos will hold a moment of silence before Sunday's home game against Indianapolis and will wear decals on their helmets to remember McKinley. John Klobuchar, The Associated Press.
Number 1, Rashaan Salaam.
Rashaan Salaam has been found dead in a park in Boulder.
Yeah, tonight there are really more questions than answers. We know his body was found Monday night in Fine Park here in Boulder. Boulder police don't suspect foul play, but they're not commenting on reports that this may have been a suicide.
Shannon, his legacy is pretty simple. The best running back and arguably the best player in CU football history. The only Heisman Trophy winner, as we said, in school history. That 1994 season ran for over 2,000 yards, led the Buffs to an 11-1 season. There's been none better before or since. I remember a couple of years ago, Rashaan came back to Folsom Field as Grand Marshal of Homecoming, throwing a promotional pass, breaking the game, waving to CU fans here, smiling. He seemed so happy as he talked about this moment here and what he was doing with his life after football.
It was big. It was a good opportunity for me to come back here and celebrate this 100 years with some of the best fans in America.
Now, Rashaan, tell all of our Buff fans what you're up to nowadays.
Right now, started a foundation. It's called the Rashaan Salaam SPIN Foundation. And SPIN stands for Supporting People in Need. And we're trying to convince, inspire young people to make the right decisions in life.
Wow. Rashaan battled an addiction to marijuana. He went to rehab in his early 20s, and that addiction and injuries ended his 4-year NFL career in 1999. You heard him in that clip. He had dedicated his life to helping kids who might turn to drugs or crime. And now he's gone at age 42. Look, there's so much reaction coming in. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from Broncos Director of Player Personnel, Matt Russell, who played with Rashaan at CU.